I would appreciate it if you could share this with your friends. Sarah's grandmother worried that social media could be a liability for young people who shared too much. Surprisingly, her grandmother had written an amazing story about her childhood adventures during the war years. Sarah wanted to extract the most inspiring parts of the story to share with her classmates. The implementation of her plan to spread her grandmother's story required careful consideration, and the family's permission first. Sarah tried to avoid bias when selecting which parts of the story would be most meaningful. Each friend would probably react differently to grandmother's tale of courage and survival during difficult times. Grandmother kept a detailed catalog of old photographs that illustrated the events in her remarkable story. The continuous bombing during the war had forced grandmother's family to live in constant fear. Grandmother described finding a golden locket that had belonged to her own mother during those dark days. An old postal stamp from that era was still preserved in grandmother's memory box. Grandmother's guideline for survival had been to help others whenever possible, despite personal danger and hardship. Sarah found an old envelope containing letters that grandmother had written, but never sent to relatives. During food shortages, grandmother had used one small knife to prepare meals for 6 family members. The biological father of grandmother's best friend had disappeared during the war, leaving the family alone. Hunger would consume their thoughts daily, but grandmother always found ways to share whatever food they had. Having clean water was considered a luxury during those desperate months of hiding and survival. Grandmother's weekly visits to check on elderly neighbors had saved several lives during the harsh winter. Wherever grandmother went, she carried hope and kindness to people who had lost everything they owned. Sometimes, a single bite of bread had to last an entire day for each family member. Sarah used her printer to make copies of grandmother's handwritten story for her friends to read. Firstly, Sarah wanted her friends to understand the historical context before reading grandmother's personal experiences. Sarah felt anxious about sharing such a personal family story, but knew it contained important lessons. What grandmother called an adventure was actually a dangerous escape from soldiers searching their neighborhood. Grandmother had crawled under a fence to bring medicine to a sick child in another family. The constant stress would exhaust everyone, but grandmother never gave up hope for better days ahead. The main attraction of grandmother's story was her unwavering faith in human goodness, despite terrible circumstances. Grandmother dreamed of crossing the ocean to find safety, but had to wait many years. She would quietly sing lullabies to frighten children during air raids and bombing attacks that occurred overhead. Grandmother's childhood home had looked like a castle to her, but was destroyed during the war. Years later, a war veteran helped grandmother's family immigrate to their new country for safety. Sarah's reflection on grandmother's courage made her appreciate her own comfortable life, much more than before. It took incredible nerve for grandmother to risk her life helping strangers during those dangerous times. Grandmother's determination to survive and help others had inspired everyone who knew her incredible story. Altogether, grandmother had saved the lives of 12 people during her 3 years of wartime hiding. Sarah assured her friends that this was not fiction, but a true story of courage and survival. The family had hidden important documents under a loose carpet board in their temporary shelter. A small cluster of families had worked together, sharing resources and protecting each other from danger. Despite the confusion and fear of wartime, grandmother had maintained her moral compass and helped others. Sarah was in no hurry to finish sharing this story, knowing her friends needed time to understand.